baby. Here we go. Hold on. We should be good. Oh my god. Howdy and aloha. Welcome to my night talk. The earth and you are ohana. We hope you stay and talk. Evan fucking hates that song.
I love it. I love it.
That's fucking cool. But Evan's just like, stop. It's like it makes him melt. I'm melting.
But again, that's a good sign. That means he probably can't get out of his head, and it's burned in there. That's
But he
good.
listens to polka, so that's probably why.
Ooh, ow, polka.
Boom,
Oh.
boom, boom. So he's a big weird owl.
Yeah, that's funny. He's kind of fucking around, but I mean, I think I'm a little
No, he's not.
slow
No,
on that. Well, what I'd like to do one day is to get a real studio and sing some songs one day.
Ah, that'd be nice.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't give them to you guys though. They would be for other people. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm just saying. I don't want your ears to bleed, or for you to lose your hearing.
Maybe that's why Evan doesn't like the song.
That's one of the reasons for sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he is.
You're a good singer too, man. You've got that. See, do you have any other siblings that dabble in music?
My sister plays a clarinet.
Oh, that's cool.
And I don't know if I have any other siblings my dad hasn't told me about.
I might have a few I don't know about. That's all I got to say.
I haven't found them on 23andMe yet. So.
Yeah, right. They'll just pop up. Hey, did you know we were brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
That's happened to a lot of people on 23. Hey, can you watch the show for me for a second? I got to go use the thing.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
Chad, can you?
Yes, okay. Sure. Howdy and aloha. Welcome to Chad's Taking Over My Talk.
Yeah, better. Give me a minute.
So you're now the host. Congratulations.
Yay for Chad.
Yay.
Yay, indeed. So what do you do for a living?
Music, entertainment, and real estate. Title searching.
And roller skate. Oh, okay.
Not roller skate, no, real estate. Title searching.
Real estate. Okay, title search.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So, and I try to dabble in as much as I can, I guess.
Good for you. Good for you.
Interested in creating in general.
Good.
That's kind of my bag. And that was something else too. I wanted to wait before I ran for anything, is to get some of this other stuff going in my in the whole music realm and stuff. So
yeah.
Definitely. So what about you? And you're running. You say you're running for the 7th.
I'm running for Congress.
Congress.
Yeah. So I am retired from the Veterans Administration.
All right.
And before that, I was helping SAIC do the Army, Navy, and Air Force hospitals around the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, it kept us off the streets and out of the pool halls.
Right.
And, the VA developed their own health record system 40 years ago. 40 years before there were record-keeping systems, and it has worked so well that it's actually one of the highest ranked healthcare systems in the world, and it's free. It belongs to you and me. We are taxpayers. We've paid for it. You can download it for free tonight, and it'll run on a PC. And there's a website, worldvista.org, which will point you to all the resources that you need. And we are a not-for-profit that is trying to keep this software alive in spite of the current administration trying to throw it away in favor of a commercial electronic health record system, which isn't nearly as good.
Right. Well, and costs 10 times as much.
Well, a lot more than that. It costs $10 billion just to get into the door. And they're expecting it to go $30 billion. You know, this is like paying somebody to take all the gold out of Fort Knox and dump it in the ocean and replace it with silver that we rent.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's insane. It's totally insane. And this tool kit that the VA developed is 180 different aspects of the hospital that all use the same database, and it will run on a laptop. It's amazing. And it's available under the Freedom of Information Act, and our not-for-profit has made it even easier to install. And the country of Jordan is using it as their national health care system. And Oroville Hospital out here in California is running it for their electronic health record system, and it's working beautifully. They are making money off of their electronic health record instead of it costing them millions.
Well, see, you know, but I think that's the key point, and it applies to every other industry or field or issue, is that the way it works is the contracts or whatever services they're buying from the free market or whatnot are people that are you know, up in the price, and then that's how they're spreading the slush fund around.
Well, they don't spread the slush fund around.
Well, no, I mean amongst themselves. Basically, it's like it says, okay, I'm going to give you the contract to this, but you're going to give me my kickback in this certain way.
Right.
And
yeah.
That's what I mean. Like as far as, because like the DNC, they said that Hillary Clinton, they spent almost $1 billion
right
to 5 consultants. 5 consultants. So I mean, I mean, I don't know how you can justify $200-something million to one person consulting you how to lose. You know what I mean? Like,
welcome to Washington, D.C.
Well, it applies to everything, and I think that's what we have to figure out. Is like all the issues where we're at has to do with that same problem. It's like healthcare. I mean, part of the thing with the doctors is they make it so hard for people to become doctors, and then once you're doctors, you have a high debt, and you have to pay that. So you have to use the, you know, prescribe all this pharmaceutical so you can even pay that, and it becomes more of a capitalist idea of a doctor rather than a doctor helping somebody and
right.
know.
Well, in fact, you know, this is one of the things out here. The incumbent for the slot I'm running for is a doctor, and he is setting up locations where you can drop off your opioids. Well, it's at the wrong end of the telescope. You've got to go after the doctors that are prescribing too many opioids.
Right.
You know, But no, they got it at the other side where they've already paid for those opioids and they're taking him back.
Right. It's
You know,
the result, it's the output of the problem. It's like Kamala Harris is like, she's worried about the Bell system rather than changing the actual, policies that create the, the reason why you're in jail in the first place.
right.
It's like it's what you say, the back end. It's like it's always fixes or band-aids somehow rather than
Right. It's crazy.
It's a great point because in here, Kamala just came to where I live in the valley, in San Fernando Valley, and a friend of mine, we went and disrupted. We got it out right away. But
Good for you.
also, there's in the California State Senate, my state senator introduced the bail bonds reform bill, and he's getting shout outs from some people, but they know that he is one of the people named in the Me Too movement, the people that...
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, all of my representatives are my assemblyman, my state senator, my congressman, all of them.
We have somebody else in here too with us. William Pounds.
Yes.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing all right.
You missed the Jesse Jill convo.
Well, what are your inputs on Jesse and Jill running for president and vice president in 20?
Well, I didn't know what was talked about because I was in a deep nap. I just woke up.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let you go back if you like, but take the red pill. No problem.
No, he was saying, how do you feel about Jesse running? William's like big Jesse Ventura fan, so he's all on board for this to happen and whatnot. So,
okay, that's cool.
But yeah, no. You there, William?
Yes.
All right. See if we got any questions from the anybody have any?
Well, whereabouts in Tennessee are you from?
I grew up in Nashville, just a suburb of Nashville, and then
right.
East now. I'm in Canning, just east of Murfreesboro.
Oh, okay, Murfreesboro. Yeah, I know.
It's, middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in. I pretty much grew up in Nashville. Moved here when I was 5, and then I lived in Miami for a few years, 5 years.
Yeah. Well, my father's buried in Chattanooga.
Okay. Yeah, it's like hour and a half.
Yeah.
Not very far at all.
Yeah, he used to live in Rising Fawn, Georgia.
Okay.
So the now entering and now leaving sign are on both on the same post.
Right. No, no stoplight or anything.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, the town I'm renovating an old house.
Cool.
It was there's only like 200 people in it right now in the town, and
Wow.
the house is 100 years old. So I'm enjoying the whole country type.
Well, you probably know everybody in town too, don't you?
No, I know a few people that know more of the people. I'm still.
You're a newbie.
Yeah, so I still kind of keep it to myself right now until I can start pushing some of this stuff. I'm building a recorded studio, like sound stage and stuff.
Very nice.
And then a couple other things I'm working on. So I'm just trying to put all that together and then bring some value to the small town.
Sure.
Excellent.
Excellent.
That's the plan. So.
Excellent. Very nice.
Yeah, it's cool little quaint town. A lot of thrift antique shops and old cars and stuff, and it's
Wow, I slept through that entire 2 hour 2 hour live stream. Wow.
Well, it sounds like you needed the sleep, You'll be able to come back and see it when once it's canned, and I'm sure James will put it up very shortly.
for $5.99, we'll send it to you.
Not a problem, on a DVD, no problem.
Or if you prefer cassette, we can even do the live cassette version.
Oh, good heavens! Yeah. Okay.
Now, actually, I do want to put some of this start putting some stuff on vinyl. Vinyl's like really popular.
Wow. Really?
Mm-hmm. They sold more vinyl than CDs and other stuff like
Really?
there's
My
been
God. Where was this?
the last few years, the growth. Let me see here. I saw the stats before.
I heard that Best Buy was going to stop selling CDs.
Really?
Like they might have already stopped.
I think they may have. It's just not.
Well, yeah, the online has been the death of a lot of the brick and mortar places. But there are certain industries where brick and mortar is going to be around for a while. Things like shoe stores. You can buy online, but what do you do if it doesn't fit? Well, you got to send it back, and that doesn't do much for you until you get the next shipment. But in clothes stores, you don't know exactly what it's going to look like on you until you try it on, and whether it fits or not, whether it's comfortable. So
they're saying that in 2017 was the highest vinyl album sales in 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was up 9% from 2017 from 2016. So that's what they said. Yeah.
That's astounding.
Vinyl people like that.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what kind of value they find. I mean, it's a very old technology. Micro digitization is making the CDs a heck of a lot sharper than vinyl, but even so, the vinyl is analog. So, gosh.
I mean, you can get a press for like 10 grand all day.
Wow.
I mean, the technology to make them now.
Yeah, but I can make DVDs for pennies on my laptops.
People like the nostalgia, and then people like the sound of it. I mean, it is what. Yeah, I mean,
boss.
yeah. I mean, I get it. Some people prefer to stream. There's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still looking for that Cheech and Chong with the rolling paper in it. My buddy actually found one back in high school. I remember him at a garage sale or something. It was the vinyl record, and it had the insert. Anyways, it had the rolling papers and stuff from the side.
Wow.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So you know how Matt Groening is a sidekick, right?
Matt Groening?
Yeah, the creator of The Simpsons and
yeah.
and Futurama.
Oh,
in Futurama, Jesse Ventura was the president.
Yeah, it was one of the bodiless heads.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And they still make episodes, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, I don't know about still making them, but they made a lot of them for a long time.
Let me see. Because I was gonna say, if they still are making, see, we need to make some cartoons, some Jesse Ventura cartoons too.
I made one and like I triggered somebody who's been I don't know, like I just fucking made a little drawing of Jesse Ventura waterboarding Dick Cheney and this fucking bitch. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be fucking cruel with my words here. It's like, oh, this doesn't represent the party, and the cruel practice of waterboarding shall not be joked about, or whatever. When I'm just like, when I just fucking make a picture of Jesse Ventura waterboarding Dick Cheney as if like, and she's just as if that's some type of great sacrilege or whatever to something.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've stopped trying to be funny because I can't make a picture of Jesse Ventura waterboarding Dick Cheney without triggering somebody. So whatever.
Well, and if anybody really deserved it, you got him.
Yeah.
Wow. Jeez.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of response you want, right? I mean, you want to piss some people off. I mean,
Well,
there are,
it's an art form, you know?
I mean,
Yeah, but
it really is.
But I mean, when the person's in the Green Party and they're just like, "Oh, that's not funny," that's like just gets salty about a fucking like picture that I make, weird looking picture of Jesse Ventura
Well,
waterboarding Dick Cheney.
but there's the other question. I mean, are you wanting to promote torture? You know, is that
it's
well, I know it's you
it
know,
reaches out to the sentiment. That's really all. Like, do you say that American Dad promotes like all like fucking killing people with an alien? I don't know.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I understand what
it's
you're saying.
art. It's an art form. It's not like
but
I
so,
endorse waterboarding.
well, no, but still at the same token, there are going to be some people that are going to
take offense at it. Yeah.
Well,
but you know, get a
So they like Dick Cheney that they're not willing to have a joke done in his expense.
No, well, it's not about Dick Cheney. It's about I guess the idea of the torture and the violence, because I don't know, I feel like if we're really going to stop the violence, stop the wars, we're gonna have to figure out a way to just stop the culture of trying to hurt people in a certain physical conventional way. Like,
oh yeah, I can understand that, but it's like it's not like I'm actually promoting like waterboarding Dick Cheney.
No, I know, and I'm not saying you are. I'm just being plain devil's advocate as far as
Sure.
Oh yeah, I can understand that.
That could be construed, and that could potentially. I mean, again, it doesn't matter because there's going to be people are going to put shit out regardless. I mean, you can't get caught up in stuff too much anyways, but and it happens. People get triggered.
Sure.
We all do. At least I know I have many times.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I got triggered by them getting triggered, so they got triggered by me being triggered, and that's just an all triggered circle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been too fond of saying, "Hey, you're triggered," but if you're triggered, you're triggered. If I'm triggered, then I'm triggered. Today in politics, you can just say "triggered." And then you can try to discredit somebody from that point for whatever reason.
So Snork says vinyl approximates analog. Only optical to film is truly analog.
All right, say it again. What was? Say it again.
Vinyl approximates analog. Only
Yes.
optical to film is truly analog.
All right.
I heard that to make a vinyl, they have to take out the S sounds.
The hiss.
You say what now?
Like when a singer has a lot of S, they have to do something
Little-
to take that out.
The hiss out of the.
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's different techniques that I think that they do as far as when they record and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're perfecting the art right now. I was listening to. I mean, I think that they make the records sound better now, though.
Yeah.
Like
Probably. Yeah.
sharper, or maybe it has to do with the player itself too.
It certainly doesn't hurt.
It seems like some of the older ones some of them are a lot thinner, like the sound. It's bright. Would be the right word.
Mhm.
So could you like summarize the last stream though, since I missed it?
Jesse Ventura needs to be the Green Party's choice in order to get some people ushered into the Green Party, get people rallied up, basically, and just kind of, going through the pros and cons, the possible, things that we're going to run into, or that people are going to have issues with when it comes to Jesse or Jill. Standard stuff.
Do you know if James is coming back?
I think.
He's probably kind of coming back, I would imagine.
I'm here. I'm
But,
I'm doing some other
he's
things. I'm
the
here,
same.
but I'm doing some other things on the computer.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
What's up?
We're having a pretty good. We're
He's
having a
having
pretty
good conversation.
Yeah.
I asked him if well, I also mentioned Will during the talk before about how some people say that people use the party and that's what they're concerned about with Ventura.
Yeah.
So there was
I
Cobb
mean-
was in the David Cobb was campaign manager for Jill Stein, and he shared an article from Black Agenda Report, which has a lot of cool people. Jamu Baraka writes there. It's this article I was asking James if we could go over. It's called "Why the Green Parties Haven't Taken Off." I don't know if you guys want to go through that. But,
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
game.
Why not? Why not?
Is it like 30 pages?
it's an online article.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. I'm cool.
Go for it. Okay, here we are.
Let me zoom in.
All together now.
Okay. So let's see. With most Americans agreeing with Greens on most issues, why doesn't the Green Party grow? A solid majority of Americans polled want to see a third party compete with Republicans and Democrats on a range of issues too. The public is well to the left of both the ruling class parties. So why hasn't the Green Party taken off and made itself a contender? The answer is a mix of internal and external reasons. The external reasons are easy to spot, but immensely difficult to overcome. Oh no. Republicans and Democrats have drafted laws in a third to half the states with explicit intent of banning parties outside the ruling class consensus, banning third parties from appearing on ballots alongside their Democrat and Republican competitors. This is the purpose of petition drives and other requirements imposed upon third parties, which the Dems and Republicans do not apply to themselves. Georgia, for instance, requires about 62,000 signatures of registered voters.
Jeez.
and 18 to 22,000 signatures to put a third-party congressional candidate on the ballot. Texas, Indiana, Oklahoma, and Illinois are a few of those with the highest such barriers, none of which apply to the establishment parties. Nothing like this exists anywhere else on the planet. There are formidable barriers to media access as well because all the mass media, the cable networks, and the internet itself are the private property of billionaires and greedy corporations, which are allowed to charge political parties and campaigns whatever they like for access to the eyes and ears of the public. This too is unique to the US. Many other countries, like the UK, allow candidates for public office free access to broadcast media. And of course, parties, campaigns, and the careers of public officials are financed in large part by wealthy individuals and corporations, frequently anonymous ones, the same forces that run the Republican and Democratic parties. The Green Party then is required to run every race in ankle chains, deprived of media and funds to buy media, and legally barred from appearing on the ballot in large sections of the country by laws which have been enacted and upheld by courts for a century and more. And these are just the external factors. The internal barriers to transforming the Greens into a mass party are equally daunting. The Green Party subscribes to no particular organizing methodology or philosophy beyond the vague and woolly notion that political campaigns are in and of themselves the main and perhaps the only vehicles for the organization of lasting political parties. This, of course, is false for multiple reasons, not the least of them that the ruling class parties are profoundly anti-democratic, with no transmission belt between the wishes of the rank and file and the shot callers at the top. It's a lot easier to be a Repub or a Democrat. Corporate media literally tell rank and file Repubs and Democrats what their stance on issues are. By contrast, the Green Party aspires to internal democracy, to making its leaders accountable to dues-paying members, and can rely neither on the generous support of billionaires and corporate entities nor on access to corporate media. And while Greens have uncritically accepted the myth that taking part in electoral campaigns will win and organize a base, the Green Party's vague and woolly politics actually inhibit attempts to do political education beyond the simple notion that there are bad people in office and electing good ones will make things better. In most states, the law is that 5 or 6 people in a room can file the necessary papers, identify themselves as co-chair, treasurer, secretary, whatever, and constitute a state party. The Green Party's national rules allow it to recognize parties that do this. But what if the first 5 or 6 people in the room, who are now your state party leadership, don't have a real political analysis of how things got to be this way or how they might change? More importantly, what if they're good people but not leaders of anything? The answer is you get a state party composed of a handful or at most a few dozen activists who wear themselves out but have no idea why their efforts don't lead to a mass party. They adopt orphan candidates, they become defensive about their lack of success, and busy themselves with fruitless, listserv discussion and debates. By contrast, when unions from the bottom up unions enter a workforce, as Jane McAlevey states in No Shortcuts Organizing for Power in the New Gilded Age, they know not to make leaders out of the first few people who sign their petitions or express support for a union. Those first few people who come to you with radical sounding ideas are often outliers with no social following and no idea how to get one. They seek instead to identify and win over to the union's cause those they call the organic leaders, people who are really looked up to in the social structure of the workplace, those to whom others come for advice and counsel, the people who are and often would be leaders, even if the union were not there at all. Win these over, train and retain them, union organizers have discovered, and you have the basis for a permanent organization with the chance at resisting the many pressures an employer can bring to bear. The McAlevey book contrasts the organizing methods of Alinsky-type outfits with unions run by leaders in bed with management, and with unions committed to standing bottom-up democracy, class struggle, and standing with workers. It's the kind of useful comparison between what works and what doesn't work, what more leftists should be tuned into. Back in the 1930s, heyday of CIO and CPUSA, old William Z. Foster wrote a How to Organize pamphlet, Organizing Methods in the Steel Industry. How does the Green Party expect to turn itself into a mass party without a few attempts at something similar and a lot of comparisons and evaluation of what works and what doesn't and why? When the clueless white leaders of ineffective state parties think about the roles and recruitment of people of color, the differently gendered and abled, they replicate their original error with tokenism. They make black or brown or LGBTQ leaders out of the first few of each of those groups in the room. In the name of addressing historic wrongs, the Green Party doubles down on this nonsense by making their black, brown, and other tokens caucus leaders, with extra votes on the party's national committee. This is the philosophy behind the Green Party's Black Caucus, its Latinx, Lavender, and Women's Caucus, and last year's attempt to form a Native American caucus out of 2 or 3 bodies, all with automatic votes on the GP's national committee. Like making the first 5 people in the room your state officers, this rarely works well. The token leaders of the caucuses who get automatic votes on the Green Party's national committee are not responsible for following their own bylaws or for contributing any specific or defined work to the parties. The Black Caucus, for instance, has such sloppily drawn membership requirements that they actually exclude anybody not registered green or nonpartisan, despite the fact that in 18 states the law permits you to do neither. Caucus bylaws also require annual election of officers at the party's annual meeting, including notice of and voting arrangements for caucus members not present at the meeting to vote. It's been at least 5 and perhaps 7 or 8 years since the Black Caucus made a pretense of providing for votes by mail. And the current alleged chair of the Black Caucus recently declared he is under no obligation to reveal to the party who the members of the supposed caucus, which elected and may elect him again, are, or how many are actually in his caucus. It's a hot mess and a formula that invites all manner of malicious opportunism, like the disruption at the Greens 2017 annual meeting. The Green Party lacks political clarity about the nature of American society and empire. Lots of rank and file, as well as leading Greens, including a near majority of the current National Steering Committee, identify themselves as socialists, but many others vehemently reject the S word and anything connected with it as alien to their greenness. At the 2015 Green Annual Meeting, even Jill Stein, who claims to be a socialist privately, if not publicly, pointedly refused to identify either capitalism as the cause of our woes or socialism as the likely cure, to the disappointment of many. When pressed to offer even the vaguest outline of what transforming American politics might look like, the best Stein offered during her campaign was that if a large fraction of those affected by student loan debt, lack of affordable medical care, those messed over by the housing crash, those ill-served by money and politics, the people menaced rather than protected by police, suffering from gentrification, environmental degradation, and so on, voted for her and other Greens, they'd win. As analysis goes, that's on par with there are bad people in office, and if we elect good ones, we'll get better results. It doesn't explain how the changes we say we want will ever happen. It's perfectly okay for Democrats and Republicans to be politically unclear to their voting base or to deploy surrogates who don't hesitate to tell audiences whatever they might want to hear. Base voters of the ruling class parties are only there to turn out election day and go home. It's not a model that Greens can or should emulate. They don't take into account that Democrats and Republicans are granted ballot and media access by default. Even in states where Greens aren't banned from the ballot by law, lack of access to media makes it impossible to do what the ruling class parties do, even if they wanted to. And they probably shouldn't want that anyway. In the Democratic and Republican parties, there is no transmission belt between the wishes of voters or even of campaign workers and the policies enacted by the party's candidates once they win office. Democrats and Republicans will welcome you to make phone calls to canvass and the like, but there's no mechanism to translate your views into policy. They are not internally small d democratic organizations. They use mass media to tell their followers what to think. If you're a Democrat, you watch MSNBC or CNN to find out what you think. And if you're a Republican, you watch Fox News or one of the Sinclair broadcasting channels for your marching instructions. Campaigns don't necessarily build lasting parties either. Campaigns are short-term mobilizations aimed at turning out a vote at election day. Campaign funds are legally segregated from party funds. Hillary Clinton raised a lot more in 2016 than her party, and Jill Stein raised something like 8 times what the Green Party did in the 2016 election cycle. So in practice, the candidates have far more to say about what the party does than party officials do. Before I became a Green, I was a Democrat in denial in Chicago, working in something like 24 campaigns and nominally nonpartisan voter registration drives over a quarter century. In better than half of these, we imagined we were laying the groundwork for a permanent, sustainable grassroots political organization. A couple actually lasted a year or two. Most dissolved as soon as the campaign was over. If progressive campaigns and candidates built permanent organizations, there would be a lot more of these in existence. The biggest thing it gets right is its adamant insistence on independence from the ruling class parties. They know you cannot ride to freedom on Pharaoh's chariot. That's vitally important. The best among them, like Howie Hawkins, the current Green candidate for New York governor, have also preached for years that a sustainable Green Party has to be built on a dues-based membership, with all officers directly responsible to the members who pay those dues. The Green Party is also entirely correct in its consistent opposition to empire, to gentrification, destroying and despoiling the environment, and to an entire range of disastrous neoliberal policies, which neither Democrats nor Republicans can denounce because their parties are ultimately controlled by the ruling class funders. But the party's vague politics, its insistence on tokenism, and lack of an organizing methodology make me wonder more and more whether it actually can be transformed into a class-conscious revolutionary party with the vision and resourcefulness to actually organize a mass following and struggle for power in this country. The fact that there are a lot more people voting for Democrats and Republicans than for Greens, and that Green parties have not grown more than they have, is not proof that Greens are deluded or hopelessly incompetent. What the Greens aim to do is incomparably more difficult than anything the apparatchik of ruling class parties do.
Yeah.
I've been a Democratic Party operative, I know. Will the Green Party manage to transform itself into a revolutionary party? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. If not, I hope to be alive and active long enough to take part in whatever party formation, and yes, we do need a revolutionary party, comes next. The lessons of the Green Party, like those of progressives who struggled to transform the Democratic Party ever since the Popular Front of 1936 led most of the US into that hole, will be remembered and learned from, not forgotten and wasted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Excellent. Can you provide that down in the chat?
Yeah.
The link, because that's a very valuable reference. I would like to have that.
So
Ooh,
that
we got Snorky Y2K. Hi, Snorky. And we also have the Independent, whoever that is, but
Steve.
they're kind of there.
So if I can, further add to the case for Jesse a bit, because Jesse, he actually, when he was governor, he actually hosted Ralph Nader at the Capitol.
Right.
Jesse did vote for Ralph Nader. So that's one time. That's one time he's been a supporter of the Green Party, and then another time was the Cynthia McKinney Rosa Clemente campaign, which Jesse, I from what I read, supported. There are pictures with him and Rosa Clemente together at an event that I think Jesse actually put together well. So he's been a supporter of the Green Party for longer than most other third parties.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
All right. Well, I might as well make the announcement. I officially registered Green.
Yay! Happy landings. Excellent. Well, I'm running Green, so there we go.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm token Green. I mean,
Hey, right on, man.
I'm just trying to, be involved.
Okay, well, that's good. Good. Well, that's how you get active. You just all of a sudden you're running a protest. Who knows? Keep it up.
Well, my special skill is being a pain in the ass.
Well, that's good too.
Yeah, my county Green Party has been a little, let's just say, inactive for a while. So, I mean, I had actually decided to stay independent for a while, and I'm like, you know what? If I'm complaining about these guys, I need to get up off my ass and just register and do it.
There you go.
Unfortunately, this was the vote, so I got in as as a town rep, but that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you.
But hey, I'm glad to be had.
Just stand by.
Where,
you will be.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
Where are you running? Where are you running at?
I'm running in California, District 7. And,
Okay.
I'm running for Congress. So, with any luck, well, I've got 5 competitors. Well, 5 total running for that one seat. The incumbent is disliked highly. He's the Democrat. There are 2 Republicans, neither of which has been endorsed by the Republican Party.
That's cute.
Yeah, there's one independent. I'm not sure what he's doing, and I'm the Green Party candidate. And I've got 2 endorsements. I've got the Green Party and the Peace and Freedom Party. So,
okay.
I've actually got a pretty good chance, and I probably.
What's your main issue?
Well,
I know obviously the 4 pillars and all of that.
Oh,
but,
yeah. But no. Single payer. Single payer is a big one, and just getting the healthcare insurance out of healthcare is going to be huge.
Now I'm going to throw you a little curveball because look, I'm
okay.
for it, but I had thought about this. Basically, you're mandating that health insurance no longer is an industry. Is there a provision for those people who are losing their jobs?
How about those people that are losing their lives?
I understand that.
Health insurance has become the gatekeepers of who gets health care and who does not. And
I completely understand that, and I'm telling you, I am actually I am for it.
Okay.
But I'm also a labor guy.
Hey,
so I had to ask that question.
I am a big proponent of education.
Right.
And free education. Get people into a lifelong practice of upgrading themselves to the next job that they're going to take.
Well, let's see
what you're saying.
And there's gonna be more people, getting healthcare services.
Absolutely.
So there's going to be a whole need of all these different fields, and they're going to be like specific, field things. And
well, I can give you a good example. We started. Well, I was one of the founders of World Vista, a not-for-profit that is taking the VA's integrated hospital system and putting it out into open source. Well, this is a national treasure that we are throwing away. It is like we are paying somebody to take all the gold out of Fort Knox and throw it in the ocean and replace it with silver that we rent. This system is so good that it is now the national health system of Jordan. It's installed in 19 hospitals in India, a bunch of hospitals in Pakistan, in Mexico, and except that one of the things that they've done is that they went through the whole package and replaced all the English phrases with Spanish phrases. Well, that's really great, except that it's knocked them out of the enhancement chain. And
I have a question
Yeah,
for
go
you,
ahead.
because I honestly don't know this. The Congress, their health benefits, is it closest to the federal employees' health benefits plan, or closest to what you're describing? How much better is their plan than the normal average
it's
citizen?
really good. They don't. First of all, they don't pay for it,
Right.
and it's lifetime benefits. And I encourage people to run for office. Please, it's a pain in the butt. There's a lot to do, and in California, it was 2,000 signatures that you had to have in order to get on the ballot. But the thing is that they also can prorate it. I actually, the parties have made it so difficult that it's almost like pulling teeth to get a signature. And I got 200 out of the 2,000. So they gave me 10% discount on signing up, but it's still, about $3,700.
Right.
Just to sign up, and then to get the ballot statement, it's just another. It's about $7,000 to get onto the ballot, and that's one of the things I want to do once I get in, is to try and make it easier for people to run.
Well,
for office.
one thing that drives me crazy. One thing that drives me crazy is the fact. First off, I'm not ready to run yet because I'm not familiar enough with the workings of the system, and I want to know more. I want to know more about my community and their needs and all of that. I've pretty much been working within my union for the past decade, and I've been in that world. But I want to expand. I want to expand. The issue is that I am a federal employee. So due to the Hatch Act, I cannot run. However, and I cannot donate to campaigns. However, corporations can, because they're more of a person than I am. That's what drives me crazy.
And the Hatch Act is one of the things that blocks me from getting a lot of the signatures that I needed to get on the ballot. You can't do post offices. You can't do the VA hospitals. None of that. No, that's insane. It really is insane. The very people that I know and I need to to sign these for signatures, I can't get to because of the Hatch Act.
And they're cracking down pretty hard.
Oh, of course they are. Of course they are. And that's another thing that I want to do, is to make a political zone that is accessible in the government facilities. That is not, it's convenient, but it's not invasive. And so that you can set up a table, you just have your placards, and you're not accosting people. You're just standing there, and getting signatures, and it would be amazing. And
there's one thing that I'd like to. I don't know how this works. If, let's say, I have a few months left to retire, and I want to run for office, and the election isn't for another year, but I have to put in for it, I should be able to do it if I'm going to retire within before I actually run. I don't know if they allow that.
I'm sure, as long as you're not doing the the promotion from your office, and you're doing it
I
from home.
I know that there were a couple of cases where people actually ran and they were forced to retire on the spot, or they were going to be going to be terminated. But
really, where are you
Yeah.
working? Where are you working? Who are you working for?
I'm not talking about here. I would have to look
Okay.
because I actually looked at federal cases, at labor cases,
Right.
and there
right.
were, I believe, 2 historically in the past 5 or 6 years. Both obvious, of course, they were running as independent types,
Okay.
and they were asked to
Okay.
retire.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Go talk to your AG, your Attorney General office in that federal building, wherever it is that you are, and they can advise you. And
Unfortunately, I'm in New York.
New York has government agencies where there's attorney generals, federal attorney generals. Go ask them.
I don't know who replaced Schneiderman.
Huh?
I don't know. Is there a temporary AG? Are you talking about Schneiderman was the New York State one? Are you talking about?
Actually, just about any federal building has got an AG office in it. And when I was working in Oakland at the Office of Information for the VA, we had an AG office downstairs. But go talk to them. They, you just talk hypothetically,
Right.
and tell them that you have a friend that's thinking about.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to see through that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And you might never be alone.
My plan is to retire in 10 or 15 years. By that time, I'll know, and my wife will know.
Sure.
I'm not playing with my paycheck right now. Unless I win the lottery.
No. I fully support that. And don't. I went through the same thing, and but I went to the extent of actually starting up a not-for-profit that, we knew we had something that was really valuable to the American public, and that, there were forces inside the VA that were trying to privatize it. And what they were doing is sabotaging it. One of the things that was so powerful about the VA's Vista was that it was written by VA personnel on VA time. The programmers were in there with the doctors, and they would sit down with the doctors, and they hash out a new application in a day, maybe a couple of days. And there's 180 different aspects of the hospital tied together by the same databases, and they're available for free. And it's a toolkit. Basically, it's everything from the security aspects to the integration to, all the different, the hookups are there for all the nomenclature files, which unfortunately are not part of the open source, and that really should be. And if I get into Congress, which it's looking more and more likely, I'm going to push to have the National Library of Medicine make these available in open source, so that people don't have to spend money to, again, we lower the cost of healthcare by doing this. And it streamlines with single payer. You don't have to tie up nurses' time in just checking to see if a person can get a test or not. If they need it, they get it. And that's another aspect of the single payer that is glossed over, is that, pre-existing conditions are interesting, but they aren't a killer. It doesn't stop you from getting healthcare. And that's what we're shooting for, is to
I'm out
get
here.
rid of all of those barriers to healthcare. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. Is we are in a situation where the health insurance companies are the death panels. They determine who gets healthcare and who doesn't, and they reserve the right to deny you service, even though you pay your premiums.
This week I also saw this audio. I'm gonna share a screen.
Oh yeah, you're there.
So it's
Can
you hear?
Yeah, there we go. We can barely hear that. You might want to put that link into the chat also.
Okay. Okay, so it was talking about how the debt now is another barrier for access to college, university.
Well, exactly. And that's another reason why we have to have free and open education. We have to have an electorate that is able to process the current existing system and deal with the challenges that we have today. We are currently in a services economy, and we need to be working more towards being cleverer. We have to be able to operate as individuals, but also cooperate and work as teams. And these are skills that are learned. Okay. Who's up?
So do you know who Pavlina Cherneva is, or Stephanie Kelton, Chris?
I have heard the name, but I don't. I no. I don't know them.
So Pavlina is an economist, and she does a lot of work like with the math, like that kind of
Right.
stuff. And Stephanie Kelton was advisor on the U.S. Senate Budget Committee, and then
Okay.
advised Sanders on his campaign. And they've been supporting a federal job guarantee program.
Uh-huh.
And let me see if I could find it. They compare it to a Marshall Plan.
Well, I would like to present it as a new WPA, the FDR solution for the joblessness during the Great Depression. Okay, Marshall Plan. Okay, cool. But yes, we have plenty of infrastructure that needs to be refitted, and we need a lot of people who are able to provide those skills and learn those skills so that they can, well, take for instance just refitting all of the gasoline vehicles to battery powered. It's going to be a huge job.
The number of people who have experience actually making large manufacturing plants is shrinking quickly.
Absolutely.
I was one of the younger ones that's probably made a large plant, and there aren't any plants to train the new kids in.
No, there aren't.
And so
it's on the
yes, we
job
basically
training.
have about 10 years to start training some kids how to make a manufacturing plant.
Hey, I'm all for shamanic approaches to, where you have a master who trains acolytes to do the job. And, it's like, training your children. When you're a child, you are, it's like you're sitting on a wagon and you have a team of 30 horses out in front of you, and they give you 2 reins to control 2 of those horses, and they control the rest of those horses. And as you mature, you get more and more control of those horses. And now, you get to the age where you become self-sufficient, you are controlling all of the horses.
All the car manufacturing plants in the United States have announced they're closing down.
Well, and
what I was going to get to is we have a law on the books where the Pentagon must buy a made in America car.
Okay.
For their and
in
they're the
Durham,
largest
North
Carolina
Carolina last week,
Reagan
activists from around the country.
If the president was brave enough and replaced the rule, maybe we could purchase the plants as a WPA, train our people in those plants, and provide all the cars for the Pentagon. And as well, they should be doing it for all the school systems, all government, and
post office.
State.
How about the post office? The postal trucks.
Anybody that needs a vehicle, it should be American made, and the components as well.
Well, and internal combustion, all electric.
Yeah. However it's done, it should be done here. The other caveat I would put with that is I would allow foreign made parts for any country that has trade parity with us or near trade parity.
Right. Well, Toyota has now, plants in America, and so does Volvo, and so does Volkswagen. But are those American made now? Or
I've worked at Japanese plants.
Yeah.
And they would not allow us to use American made parts.
Really? Well.
I mean, it was like a hit job to kill our factories. When NAFTA was signed, we had factories ready to go over the
go overseas. Yeah.
Well, Mexico.
Yeah. Well, over the border. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they had
Not
only
so-
planned on being there a short time. They were eyeing other places. and
Well, and that was the thing, and they were going to bring back the carrier, air conditioning, and we gave them a lot of money to rebuild the jobs, and what they ended up doing is automating and doing away with the jobs. It was brilliant.
Obama was very proud of the fact that he kept 7 or 8 or 10 U.S. assembly plants from going overseas. But he never mentioned that those plants, he let about 20,000 suppliers to those plants go overseas. So essentially, we were just putting a name tag in actuality, our manufacturing was limited in some factories to throwing a manual in the glove box, putting a bumper on and new tires. They would be transferred with tires for shipping, and then those tires would be stripped off and sent back.
Oh, that's classic. Oh man.
And then it would have a Made in America sticker.
Yep. Oh man. Well, there's so much wealth that has been gotten so inappropriately, and they've stolen from the people so badly, and there's so much of this that has to be turned around. And
and there are thousands of WPA ready stuff to go.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Our infrastructure is so shot. There are so many things we need.
Sure.
So many things we need to do. We need to shut down the 3 or 4 mega companies that control school buses across the United States. Most of the federal funding for schools actually goes to the school bus companies that they hire.
Really?
Yeah, most of that goes to profit, and 2/3 of it probably go to special needs buses.
Wow.
So we need a national, state, local system. One of the problems with a local system is a school will have problems if they have a bunch of drivers sick, whereas these national companies can swap out drivers from other communities, even other states.
Oh, I'm sure Uber will be happy to jump in there and help out.
Well, we should have a national pool, and I would like to see, these are handling kids, FBI background checks, and anybody who handles kids. And we have some security needs here, and currently these countries will offshore their information systems. So the databases will be in cities like Mexico City, not even under control of an area that's not easy to bribe someone to. If they need to shop for kids, all they got to do is say, we're going to kidnap your family unless you tell us the names of some kids.
Yeah.
And these days with data mining, you can say, okay, what bus is going to have a blonde-haired girl who's 14?
Yeah, really. Hey, I see behind you, you have a 3D printer printing something out.
There's a 3D printer on my right. There's a laser on my left.
Ah. So what you making on the 3D printer?
Something for my daughter.
Ah. Okay. Cool. Nice to see those in operation.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. I gotta go.
All right.
Thank you guys for coming.
See ya.
Okay. Oh, you're knocking us off, huh?
Well, I gotta get going. I got things to do. Places
I
for
know,
people to
I
see.
know.
Been on here since 8 o'clock.
It's late.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah, really. But
okay. Good night.
I got places to be. Thanks, guys.
You bet.
Thanks for showing up late, Indy. Always good to have you at the last few minutes.
No problem. Take care. Bye.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on Monotalk and chatting. Check out the Jesse and Jill 2020 Q&A, questions, information. Yeah. I'm going to redo that. Thank you. Aloha. And goodbye.